Hang on 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. Let's make sure we are live. 1 second. Let's see. Let's make sure we are live. All right. Oh, propagating. Yes, we are indeed live. We are live. Audio works. Beautiful. All right. There we go. There we go. Good morning. Let's make sure we're live on the X. Anything goes says check. Good morning, anything goes. Yeesh. Good morning, anything bows. Thank you. Good morning. But a little yeesh. Send my 1 second. 1 second. Yeesh. The pink comments are there. Yes, sir. All right. We're live on the Twitch. Anything else is top of the morning. Top of the morning to you too, man. Top of the morning. I tip my hat. Yes, sir. If I had a hat, you know? Yes. All right. Beautiful. Okay. All right. Let's get everything all set up. Just getting all the announcements out. Let's get all the announcements out here. There we go. All right. There we go. Wonderful. How's everybody doing today? Good morning. Hope you guys are having a fantastic Thursday. Woo, let's like up the stream. Yes, sir. All right. Yes, sir. Give me 1 second. There we go. All right. Okay. Good morning. Let's get it all set up over here. There we are. There we go. Yes. Whoa. All right. Hallelujah. Yes. All right. Hallelujah. Yes, it is. We called 2 of them already. Literally, the top of the morning, we called 2 of them. Yes, sir. Oh, actually, we called them yesterday, and they ran up today. All right. Let's make sure we're all set. Boom. Okay. Wonderful. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this party started. Okay. What's up, guys? It's Double Nicks, and welcome to another episode of Microcap Mornings. I am your host with the most. They call me DBL Nicks in the house, a.k.a. the Rainmaker. And I'm here with the lovely Serengeti specialist herself. She likes to hang around the tall weeds, the high trees, the low seas, hitting them high knees. Sometimes she likes 2 cups of coffee. Other times she likes to jet ski. Other times she likes to regular ski. Other times she gets shot at the cannon and she goes, wee! Other times she likes to party and watch videos of puppies and kitties. Other times she likes to go into the stock market and she'll find them ABCDs. Other times she'll go to RB's. Sometimes she'll go to Wendy's. Other times she'll go to Mickey D's. And other times she'll go to Burger King. You never know. We call her TBL Moms. Hey! All right, so that's what we got going on, folks. So before we begin, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as ring that bell icon to stay notified when new videos are uploaded. And remember to share, because sharing is caring, ladies and gentlemen. Sharing is caring. And, of course, if you want access to our private Discord, Link to join us in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section. So be sure to check that out. We pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We're just made different, And the early bird gets the cash, the moolah, the loots, the cashola, the big bucks, I tell you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, Bobo Beebs. Yes, he says, howdy, howdy, Bobo. We hear you, Lima Charlie. Yes, sir. Copy that.
Let's go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ooh. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Ooh. All right. Yes, that's what I like to hear and see and do all that good stuff. That right there. Oh, yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ooh. Oh, yeah. All right. Hold on 1 second. Let me just get this all set up over here. Bop. Right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. All right. All right. There we go. Beautiful. All right. Just getting everything shared up over here. Bop. Right there. All right. There we go. Wonderful. Okay. All right. Let's get Marty. How you doing, Marty? Good morning. Oh, I don't see Legal. Where is he?
Yeah, it's in there.
Legal. Hello. Hope you're doing well, Legal. Hope you're doing well.
Let's go.
All right. All right. All right. All right. There we go. There we go. There we go.
Let's get it done.
Let's get her done. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Yes. All right. There we go. There we go. All right. There we go. There we go. Night Road, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. All right. There we go. There we go. All right. So that's what we got going on. Let's get it started. Let's get it started. All right. So let's take a look at some stonks here real quick, ladies and gentlemen. We got some stonks that we called early in the morning. We called FCHL prior to its 156% run right there. FCHL. We called it prior to its run up 156%. We called it yesterday prior to its run. Prior to its run up 156%. All right. Yeesh. Yeesh. We called it yesterday prior to its run on our private Discord. All right. Prior to its run up 156%. There we go. There we go. Wonderful. All right. Alex, hello. Hello. Says, good morning. Did you guys trade UGRO last night? That run was great.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we did. Yes, sir, we did. Got out the stall at $52. Tried to sell at $56, but was too slow. That's okay as long as you made a profit. Profit's good. Profit's good. Money. All right. So we got that going on right there. FCHL, we did call the stock yesterday prior to its run up 156%. Today on our private Discord. We called it on our private Discord. All right. So, yeah, be sure to check that out. Link to join us in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section. So be sure to check it out because we pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We're just made different in the early bird gets the cash, the moolah, the loots, the cashola, the big bucks, I tell you. Yes, sir. All right. Next up, we also called EEIQ. EEIQ. All right, now this stock we called prior to its 193% run. 193% run right there. On our private Discord, we called it yesterday as well, prior to its run earlier in the morning. Check out our private Discord by, clicking the link in the description down below right there. Yes, sir. Yeesh. All right. That's what we got going on, folks. That is what we got going on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let's take a look at the stonks over here. Let's take a look at the stonks. Let's take a look at UGRO for Alex. UGRO, UGRO. All right, UGRO. Now, UGRO as of now. All right, let's take a look all the way back over here. All right. From the beginning. Yes, right there. All right. So, stock moved up. Nice, nice. Right over here. Let's get the graffiti pencil activated. Bop, right there. All right. Pulled back a little bit right over here and formed a bit of a descending wedge. Curled off that descending wedge as well. Right over here. Broke above the VWAP. Pulled back just a little bit. And then made a nice little recovery right over here. And now has formed another descending wedge right over here. Can it potentially curl? Maybe we'll see what happens with this stunk. But it needs volume for it to really curl right now. It needs volume right there. It is down 20% now. It is down 20%. All right. Has a 675, call it 676,000 float. Volume is almost 2,000, right? Or excuse me, 2 million. So as of now, it does have some good volume on it. The float is still relatively low, but it needs more volume for it to really climb up and be somewhat schmexy to meow. So that's what we got going on right there. That is what we got going on right there. All right. Let's see if it has any recent news as well. UGRO shares are trading higher after the company announced a strategic position to capture growth with the T20 cricket franchise valuations exceeding $1.6 billion in global media expansion accelerating. Other than that, they don't really have much other news other than that their shares did halt quite a few times and resume quite a few times, which is true. It did. It had a nice run up over approximately, I think, 400, something like that. 406, at least 416. At least. I think it was higher than that. Porcenta. Yes. So they had that going on right there. That's what it had going on right there. But right now it's moving downward. Needs to really break above that VWAP and also break above the descending wedge. But it did move. It did move yesterday. It moved up real nicely yesterday. So UGRO needs more volume to curl off the descending wedge and break to break the RSI right there for it to be somewhat schmexy to meow. There we go. All right, let's see what else we got here. Alex says, today I am in AIFF and ANNA and BOXL, currently green on all trades, and already took gains. There you go, man. I think it could cook again. I hope I bought 20 shares at $29 this morning and took a short ride to 34, took some profit, but still holding a cool 10 shares of UGRO. Okay, all right, there you go. Let's take a look at it then. AIFF. Let's take a look at this stunk right here. Has unconfirmed Q4 earnings due in 11 days on Monday, April 6th before the market opens. So they got that going on right there. All right, AIFF as of now has a float of 13.4 million. Volume is 16 million and change right there. So it does have some higher volume that does float. That's pretty good right there. Let's see about any recent news that's got going on. AIFF does have news that came out this morning. At Firefly Neuroscience partnered with Department of Defense to support assessment, treatment of active duty U.S. service members and veterans suffering from PTSD and or traumatic brain injury. All right. And also confirms public-private relationship with the Department of War right there. So they got that going on right there. That is what they got going on right there. All right. So as of now, they did partner with the Department of Defense, Department of War, whichever one you want to call it. All right. And yeah, they're currently trying to help active duty service members with PTSD and TPI. PTSD and TPI right there. So that's pretty good. That is pretty good because those are very common injuries that people get, especially in that field of work. So, well, PTSD is not an injury per se, but TBI is. TBI is an injury. PTSD is a condition. So, yes. So, as of now, that is pretty good right there. So, needs to break above the pennant right over here for it to really be somewhat schmexy to mya. Right there. AIFF, 20%, 20%. Needs to break above the VWAP and needs to break above the pennant right there for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, AIFF needs to break above the pennant and the VWAPA for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. That's what AIFF needs to do right there. AIFF. Let's see here. All right. So, AIFF, that's what they got going on right there. Let's take a look at ANNA. ANNA, let's see. Aliana Inc., up 13%. Has unconfirmed Q4 earnings due in 11 days from now on Monday, April 6th, before the market open. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on right there. Has a lot of choppiness over here. Stand by. Let's get this chop over here. Chop right there. Chop right there. More chop right there. A little bit more chop right there. So it's very, very choppy at ANNA as of now. Very choppy. Up 12% as of now. Broke above the VWAP, but let's see about the float. Float is 3.5 million. Volume is 1 million and change. So you got that going on right there. Volume is less than the float. Not looking too schmexy right there. Not looking schmexy. Let's see what goes on over there. Let's see what goes on. So, Aliana stock is ripping higher today. Let's see what's going on with it. Let's see. All right. Stock is bouncing back from Monday's sell-off after President Donald Trump's comments about productive talks with Iran set crude prices plunging nearly 8%. Okay, so that's what they got going on. This is more so on geopolitical stuff then. All right, so Anna, as of now, from what it's saying, is moving higher, allegedly. I mean, it's choppy, but okay. On geopolitical news. So it's, again, the thing that I always have when it comes to geopolitical news is it's not news specifically pertaining to the actual company itself. It's pertaining to the industry. So if it's only ripping because of geopolitical news and things of that nature, that's great and all, but it's not ripping because of anything the company actually did or any achievement that the company met or anything like that. It's not doing that. So you got that going on right there. That is what you got going on right there. Right now, it is moving up and broke the VWAP, so I will give it credit there, but it does have some low volume. So as of now, ANNA is moving up slightly on low volume right there. ANNA moving up slightly on low volume right there. Needs to break. Let's get some support and resistance lines for it. All right, there we go. Has to break above the 790 mark fully and break above the 824, which is where the high a day is right now. So needs to break above the resistance line at 790. Needs to stay above it fully for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya right there. So ANNA moving up on low volume, needs more volume to break and stay above 790 right there for it to be schmexy to mya. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So they got that going on. Let's get a share party going on. Let's get to 200, 200, 200, 200. Come on now. Let's get to 200, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, that's some good orange juice. All right. Let's take a look at BOXL. BOXL. Let's take a look over here. BOXL, as of now, has some chop over here. A lot of chop over here. All right, Chop City, right over here. All right, let's see about the graffiti pencil. Bop, right there. All right, a little bit of a teeny tiny ABCD into what looks to be a pennant right here. Fell below the VWAP. Not looking too schmexy in this regard because it is pretty choppy in terms of price action. Has some unconfirmed Q4 earnings due in 11 days from now on April 6th after the market close. So you got that going on right there. Float is 934.630K, so it's 934,000 and change. Volume is 6.8 million, called 7 million right there. So you got 7 million volume. Float is 934,000, so it does have the volume for it. Let's take a look and see what news it's got going on. Let's see if there's anything going on here. Nothing really to over here of note. Last bit of news was that they regained NASDAQ compliance, and that was more so on February 23rd. All right, so you got that going on right there. But other than that, not a lot of news going on. So not a really big catalyst as of now. The stock is sub VWAP, not looking schmexy right there. Needs to break above the VWAP and needs to break above the pennant for it to be schmexy to me. It does have the volume, but it just really needs to break above the pennant and the VWAP. Very choppy stock though. BOXL. Choppy price action. Needs volume to break above the VWAPA and the pennant right there for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, so it needs to do that right there. That's what it needs to do right there for it to be so much maxi to me. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, let's get a share party going on. Let's get to 300, 300, 300, 300. Let's take a look at FCHL. FCHL called this stock yesterday in the evening, and it ran up a nice 156%. 156% right there. Percenta. Currently 95%. Had a pullback, but it did have that nice run that we called prior to this morning right here. We called it yesterday evening after hours, and it ran up nicely. All right, so got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. Let's take a look over here. All right. Has had a double top right here at the $4.32 mark right here. Pulled back quite a bit over here. And then proceeded to move its way on up over here. And break above and break into another pennant right over here. Pulled back to below the VWAP. Has a bit of a double top right over here along the VWAP right here. All right. Has to break above the 351 mark right over there. So it's got that going on right there. FCHL as of now needs to break the VWAP and that little resistance line at 351, as well as the pennant for it to really be schmexy to me. Needs to make it somewhat schmexy to me. So FCHL needs to break the pennant and the VWAPA for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. There we go. There we go. All right, so as of now, that's what we got going on. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 300, 300, 300, 300. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Let's take a look at EEIQ. EEIQ had a nice run up 193% this morning. All right, and we called it yesterday prior to that 193% run today, early in the morning at around 4 o'clock, I believe 4:07 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you had that going on right there. Called it prior to that run right there. All right, so we got that going on right there. Got a double top here, a little bit of a double top here as well. One is at the $5.36 mark over here. The other one is at $5.41. But the main big resistance point right here is at 543, which is the resistance line right over here. This is the VWAP right here. And it looks like the 90 MA is pulling away from it right now, which is not a schmexy look right there. Not schmexy at all right now. But it did have that nice run up 193%. Did also have some other runs going on there. I am also pretty sure FCHL ran yesterday as well, if memory serves me correct. But yes, that's what we got going on right there. So, as of now, EEIQ needs to break the pennant, needs to break the resistance at 536, and another one at 541, and then the other one at 543. But it has to break the VWAP at 543 and needs to break the resistance line as well. So, EEIQ, as of now, up 62%, ran up as high as 193% so far today. All right. And needs to break the pennant. Needs to break the pennant. And the VWAP at 541 for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. All right. Ooh, what's going on over there? Well, EEIQ just shot up randomly. Okay. Very, very sporadic as of now. Wasn't doing that earlier, but okay. Yeesh. Let's see. All right, so has to shoot up above 543 for it to really be somewhat schmexy to me. Very, very choppy. Needs some volume and needs some stability right there. All right. Well, yes, that's what it's got going on. That's what we got going on right there. Has to break above that area, that VWAP, for it to be schmexy to mya right there. Let's get a share party going on. Let's get the 400, 400, 400, 400. All right, let's see what we got going on here. Let's see what we got going on. KOD, KOD, KOD. Let's take a look. Kodiak Sciences shares are trading higher after the company announced top line results in the GLOW2 Phase 3 superiority study of Zancuda for the treatment of patients with diabetic retinopathy, or retinopathy. Yes, retinopathy. Okay, so they got that going on right there. I can't English, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, good. I cannot English. Good. All right. Yes. So, we are currently seeing a bit of an uptrend here, a bit of a choppy one at some points because it is choppy. I don't really trust the stock too much. Let's take a look at the float. Float is extremely heavy at 40.8 million, call it 41 million. Volume at 1 million and change. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on right there. So the float is extremely heavy, 41 million. Volume is 1 million and change. So we got that going on right there. Has the news that it's trading higher after the company announced the top-line results in the GLOW2 Phase 3 superiority study of Zancuda for the treatment of patients with diabetic retinopathy right there. So they got that going on right there. That is what they got going on right there. But as of now, it's on a slight uptrend, maybe consolidating a little bit, actually. Starting to consolidate a little bit along the uptrend. So needs to remain friends with the trend right there, but it's moving on low volume. KOD moving on low volume. Needs to remain friends with the trend. Otherwise, not looking schmexy right there. So that's what we got for KOD. KOD, ladies and gentlemen, KOD. Let's see what we got going on. What else we got? BATL. Let's see how BATL is doing. This is Battalion Oil, obviously. All right, this is an oil stock right here. Oil stock moving upward slightly. Bit choppy on the uptrend, but it is moving up slightly right there. BATL has a 6 million float, 5 million volume. So the volume's just a little bit below the float right now. That's what they got going on right there. That is what they got going on right there. So let's take a look over here. BOT right there has some resistance at the $7.40 mark right there. Has some resistance at $7.40. Bot right there. Let's get the ABCD going on right there. A to B, B to C, C to D right there. And then looks like it's forming a bit of a pennant, if anything, right over here. It needs to break above the pennant for it to be so much maxi to mya. That's what they got going on right there. That is what they got going on right there. So BATL needs to break the resistance at $7.40. Needs to break resistance at 740. Low volume. Actually, let me just say that needs more volume, really. Needs more volume. Right there for it to be schmexy to mya. There we go. BATL. BATL. There we go. Let's see here. Let's get a share party going on. Let's get to 500. 500, 500, 500. Yes, sir. All right. Let's see what else we got going on. What else do we got going on right here? Let me add them. Let me add them. Let's see. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. All right. All right. So, somebody requested EONR. EONR. Let's take a look at EONR. Let's see how that's doing right there. EONR. Let's see. Chop City. Chop City. Look at that. Look at all that chop. Yep. Choppy price action means low volume right here. Float is 47 million, which is very, very heavy. Volume is 2.3 million right here. It looks like EON, by the way, I'm pretty sure EON is an oil-related stock right here. Again, these oil-related stocks, they tend to move on that they're right now, as of now, they're moving on geopolitical news. So again, these are stocks that are not moving on news of their own, but rather news pertaining to a circumstance that is currently going on within the world. So thus, they're not exactly doing anything per se. It's just that it's the industry. It's the industry. That's really the best way to put it. It's the industry. All right. So EONR, choppy price action on low volume oil play. That's what they got going on right there. That's what they got going on. But EONR not looking too schmexy to me. Very, very choppy as of now. Very, very choppy. Not looking too schmexy there. Not looking too schmexy. Let's see what other stocks they got me over here. Again, ooh, another oil stock here. TPET. Somebody requested me TPET right there. Somebody requested that for me. So let me take a look at TPET. All right, let's take a look. TPET is currently on a very choppy uptrend, up right now 9%. TPET, again, another oil play. This stock needs to remain friends with the trend. Looks like it is very low in terms of volume. All right. Float is 30 million. Volume is 4 million. Yep. It is extremely, very, very, very choppy on the uptrend. Moving on low volume right there. TPET, choppy uptrend. Moving on low volume. Oil play. That's what they got going on right there. Oil play. That is what they got going on right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very, very, very choppy. Not schmexy to mya. There we go. There we are. Right there. All right. Let's see what else we got here. What else we got? Somebody requested TMDE. TMDE. Let's take a look at TMDE. TMDE. TMD Energy Limited Ordinary Shares. Again, another energy stock right here. Very, very choppy. Chop City. Look at that chop. Look at all that chop right there. Look at all that chop. A lot of consolidating. A lot of barcoding. TMDE, I can take a look at that one. I can tell you right off the bat, probably a low volume. 8 million float, 379,000 volume. Yep, low volume. TMDE, another oil play stock. Moving on, low volume. TMDE, oil play. Low volume. Not schmexy to mya. Not schmexy to mya right now. TURB. Somebody requested TURB. Turbo Energy. Obviously, it's another energy stock right there. All right. Right there. Bop. Right there. Again, all these stocks are moving on geopolitical news, not because of any actual action that the actual company itself has done, but rather geopolitical news. So that's what they got going on right there. Has resistance at 203, needs volume to break that 203 resistance right there. Has a float of 2 million volume. This one actually has a higher volume that does a float. Float volume is 4 million. And the float is 2 million. So that's good. That's good. That means it's twice as much as the float. That's good. That's good. But it needs more volume to break the resistance at $2.03 right there. Right? TURB. TURB needs volume to break the resistance at 203 right there for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. There we go. That's what they got going on right there. Again, this is what they got going on. And Alex says LNAI is cooking hard. All right, let's take a look at LNAI. LNAI. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 600. 600. All right. Let's see about LNAI. LNAI. All right. LNAI up 92%. 92% right now. This is very, very nice right here. It's moving up 92% price spike right here. Let's see what the float and volume's like over here. Float is 20 million and change. Volume is 10 million and change. So it is moving up on some low volume right now. That's what we got going on right there. That is what we got going on. So LNAI currently up 90%, moving up on low volume right there. It needs more volume for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. Otherwise, it's just meh. So LNAI price spike on low volume. Up 105% though. 105% right there. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. Excellent. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. All right. Wonderful. That's excellent. Up 117% now. LNAI up 117%. Percenta. Yeesh. All right. There we go. There we go. Ooh. All right. Let's see here. All right. All right. LNAI currently up 117% now. 117, 121. There we go. 123. All right. How's the volume doing? The volume is slowly but surely climbing. All right. As it climbs up to 134, let's see. LNAI now 134%. LNAI now up 134% right there. Percenta. 140. There we go. 140% right there. There we go. There we go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. All right. Woo. Let's see what we got going on. All right. There we go. There we go. All right. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. There we are. All right. There we go. 153%. 153%, currently climbing its way on up right now. Jeski 19 asks, where is BYND? We'll take a look. We shall take a look at it. Give me 1 second. 1 second. But we will definitely take a look at it. LNAI ran up a nice 153%. 153% right there. LNAI ran up 153%. 153% right there. Moving up on low volume still. 153% low volume. All right, there we go. There we go. There we go. Let's see, does it have any news? Does it have news? I think it does have news, actually. Lunai Bioworks executes $20 million transaction to acquire blood-brain barrier delivery and technology and central nervous system Alzheimer's drug assets from Clemen Group. So they got that going on right there. That is what they got going on right there. They are acquiring a BBB delivery platform for CNS Alzheimer's therapies with broad CNS delivery applications. So they got that going on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So that's what they got going on right there. That is what they got going on right there. All right. All right. All right. All right. Hold on 1 second. There we go. All right. And now let's take a look at BYND for Jasky. Let's take a look at BYND. BYND. All right. So BYND not looking too schmexy right now. Again, this is a meme stock. A lot of people really request of me. So it's a big meme stock. Big meme stock. But it is very choppy over here. Very, very choppy over here. Showing more chop over here as well. Lots and lots of different chops over here. Just overall, a lot of indecisive wicks going on. And it is below the VWAP as of now. So that means that it's pretty low in terms of volume right there. Has a conference call scheduled in 5 days at 5 p.m. with some confirmed Q4 earnings due in 5 days on March 31st after the market close. Currently down 2% and change. 2% and change, call it 3%, honestly. But yes, currently down 3%. Needs volume to break above that VWAP and also break that indecisive wick. Choppy movement right there on the price action right there. So BYND needs volume to break the indecisive wicks and choppiness right there for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. There we go. There we go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what BYND needs. It needs to break that choppiness right there for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Let's take a look over here. LNAI. How's LNAI doing? LNAI is pulling back a little bit more. Pulling back. All right. It'd be like that sometimes. All right. Let's see here. LNAI pulling back a little bit, forming a top tail. We don't like the top tails. We like the bottom tails. Can it potentially curl back up? Let's get to some support and resistance lines right over here. Support and resistance lines right here. Yes, sir. All right, so it's got support at 88 cents. Resistance at $1.04 right there for it to be so much maxi to me. Right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that's what we got going on right there. That is what we got going on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So as of now, LNAI, yeah, it's kind of struggling to stay above the support line at 88 cents. It's struggling a little bit. Needs to break above 104, but it has a bit of a top tail. We don't like the top tails. We like the bottom tails. That's what we like right there, ladies and gentlemen. That is what we like. Come on now. All right. Needs to break that resistance line. There's a little bit of a resistance at 93 cents. LNAI needs to break the 93-cent resistance line right there. Needs to break resistance at 0.93 at 93 cents right there for it to really be somewhat schmexy to me. But other than that, not looking too schmexy right there. Not looking too schmexy. Not looking too schmexy right now. There we go. But, yeesh. We called it earlier in the morning as well. Called it right at 753 prior to that run up 157. Also, of course, our boy Alex called it as well, up 157%. That was the high. So, yes, looking good right there. Looking good, looking good. There we are, there we are. All right. LNAI looks like it broke above that 93-cent mark right there. Hold on. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so LNAI is currently curling its way on up right now. Needs to break that $1.04 high of day. LNAI broke resistance. Needs to break the high of day at 104 for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's get a share party going on. Let's get to 800. 800, 800, 800. Come on now. All right. There we go. There we go. Ooh. All right. Come on now. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So LNAI currently pulling back below that 93-cent line right there. Again, that is a significant resistance line right there. I mean, it's pulling back and it's always below the 93-cent line anytime it pulls back. And then it struggles to kind of push above it. So, yeah, resistance point at 93 cents right there. Has to break 93 cents, then has to break $1.04 for it to really be schmexy to mya. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right there. All right. So, that's what we got going on. That is what we got going on right there. All right. All right, all right, all right. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Let's see what other stonks we got going on here. What other stonks we got going on? All right. Let's take a look at AIFF again. AIFF, in the meantime, while we're waiting for LNAI, AIFF, let me get some orange juice over here. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. 1 second, 1 second. As you can tell, ladies and gentlemen, I might have developed a little bit of a cold. So, you know how it is. Vitamin C tends to fix that. So does zinc. So, taking a lot of vitamin C and zinc, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we doing. That's what we doing. All right. AIFF still needs to break that VWAP. Still needs to break that pennant. Up 19% as of now. Up 19% as of now. So, as of now, that's what we got going on right there. Again, float is 13 million and change. Volume is 18 million and change. So, we got that going on right there. Let's get, needs to break above that VWAP at 205 and needs to break above the pennant right there. So, AIFF needs to break the VWAP at 205, and the pennant right there for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. That's what we got right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Let's get a share party going on. Let's get to 900. 900, 900, 900. Yes, sir. All right. Let's get to 900, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Let's see about another stonk here. Let's see about another stock. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. All right. Somebody requested BATL again. All right, BATL. Again, this is an oil stock right here. Pulled back quite a bit since we last looked at it. So, as of now, it pulled back quite a bit and formed a bit of a pennant right over here. All right, then broke below the VWAP, curled back up above the VWAP, and is now still within this pennant right here. Has to break above the VWAP right over here at the $7.40 mark right here. Needs to break above this pennant for it to be schmexy to meow, but it is above the VWAP right there, so that's good. It's above the VWAP, needs to break above this resistance line here at 740, and also needs to break above the pennant right here. So that's what's got going on. BATL needs to break the pennant and the resistance at 740 for it to be somewhat schmexy to meow. That's what we got going on. That is what we got going on. All right. Let's see what else we got. What else we got over here? All right, let's get a share party going. Let's get to 1,000. Let's get to 1,000, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody requested Akon, A-K-A-N, not Akon as in the rapper, A-K-A-N. I almost typed in Akon. Nice. What could I say? Good singer and writer. Good singer, songwriter, rapper, man. You know, what could I say? All right, Akon down 14%, not looking schmexy right now. Has unconfirmed H1 earnings. Unconfirmed due in 11 days from now on Monday, April 6th during market hours. So they got that going on right there. Needs to break this downtrend and needs to break the VWAP at 86 cents as well as the resistance line, which is right over here at 96 cents for it to be somewhat schmexy to meow. So Akon, A-K-A-N, needs to break the downtrend and the VWAP for it to be somewhat schmexy to meow. Those are the first two things it has to break. For it to be somewhat schmexy to meow, that's what it needs to break above. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. That's what we got going on, folks. That's what we got going on. All right. Let's see about some other stocks right here. All right. So yeah, that's what we got going on right there. That is what we got going on. Let's take a look. Let's see how LNAI is holding up. How's LNAI holding up? LNAI temporarily moved up, hit a new high a day at 105. Right? If we look at the percenta, right there, it temporarily hit a high of 171. Temporarily hit a high of 171. All right. So, temporarily hit a high of 171%. LNAI broke the high of day and temporarily was up 171%. Needs to break high of day at $1.05 for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Needs to break that high a day. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Let's see what we got going on right there. Let's see what we got going on. Let's see. All right. All right, all right, all right. Let's see here. All right, there we go. Hang on 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. 1 second, 1 second. Let's see what other stonks we got going on. What other stonks we got going on? All right. All right. As of now, LNAI is up 136%. That's what we got going on right there. All right. So yeah, LNAI as of now up 136%, 138% now. Hit a high of 171. Keeping an eye on it right now. Just keeping an eye on this stonk right here. Keeping an eye on the stonk. And if you got any stonks that you want us to check out, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Put it in the chat because that's what we got going on right here. Yes, sir. Let's get a share party going on. Let's get to 1100. 1100 right there. Hold on. All right. So, 1100 right there. All right. Hang on 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. All right. All right. There we go. There we go. All righty. So, yeesh. Ooh. Coach, did you just release the new thumbnail?
I did.
Ooh, look at that. That's the hotness right there. Yes, the new thumbnail. The new thumbnail is out, ladies and gentlemen. New thumbnail is on fuego, fuego, fuego. Look at that. Look at that. Coach got the little stonks right there in the background right there, as well as another one. He's got that Fortnite. Got that Fortnite outfit on. He's got the little what's it called? You got like a little holographic chart going on over there as a robot's being blown up in the background. Wow. Yeah, he got it like that. He got the glasses on. He got the hat on. You know what I mean? It's like that. It's really like that for real. Nice. It reminds me of, you know what that reminds me of? That actually reminds me of Gears of War. That's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of Gears of War. Because they wear a similar outfit in Gears of War. Similar. Not the same, really, because there's like armor around the chest, but it looks similar. It's got the same little aesthetic there, truthfully. So, yeah, that's what you got going on right there. Ooh! Mm-hmm. All right. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes. So, as of now, that's what we got going on right there. Let's take a look and see what else we got. What else we got? EEIQ. Let's see how EEIQ is doing. EEIQ. Curling up off the pennant right there slightly. Curling up off the pennant slightly. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. All right. EEIQ curling off the pennant slightly, needs to still break the VWAP at 539 for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. EEIQ curling off the pennant and needs to break the VWAP at 539 for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. That's what we got going on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, KOD, KOD. How's KOD doing? KOD, still really meh, in terms of movement. On a uptrend slightly, but again, it's an uptrend on some very choppy movement. KOD still on a light volume, choppy uptrend. Needs more volume for it to be so much Mexi to meow. That's what it needs to do right there. KOD. KOD. Right there. Let's see what we got going on. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 1200. 1200. All right. BATL. BATL. How's BATL looking? BATL. Fell below the VWAP. Fell below the VWAP. Not looking schmexy. Not looking too schmexy. Right now, not looking too schmexy. Needs to break this little descending wedge right here for it to, and needs to break the VWAP right here for it to be somewhat schmexy to meow. So, as of now, BATL needs to break the descending wedge and the VWAP at 671. 671 right there. That's what it needs to do for it to be somewhat schmexy to meow. There we are. All right. So, let's see what else we got here. What else we got? All right. All right. Let's see here. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Yes. What's up? One second, ladies and gentlemen. Give me just a second right here. 1 second. Let's get some stuff here. Hold on. All right. All right. GLND. Ooh, okay. 1 second. Yep. GLND. There's no such thing as GLND. Or you said GLND?
George, Larry, Nevada, David.
Not showing up.
How about FCHL?
FCHL. Ah, there we go. There's one. FCHL right there. Yes, sir. All right. Needs to break a nice pennant right over Mya. Needs to break the pennant and needs to break the VWAP for it to be somewhat schmexy to Mya. Needs to break that pennant and the VWAP for it to be somewhat schmexy to Mya. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So, as of now, FCHL breaking down quite a bit. Needs to break the pennant. Needs to break the VWAP for it to be somewhat schmexy to Mya. Has a bit of a double top right over here. Double top right over here. Needs to break the double top as well as this VWAP right over here for it to be somewhat schmexy to Mya. That's what we got going on. That is what we got going on right there. Hang on 1 second.
EEIQ.
Yeah. FCHL. Hold on. Let me just put this up here. FCHL. needs to break the pennant and the VWAP at 346 for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. That's what we got going on. All right. Let's see what else we got going on here. What else we got? What else we got? Let me add them. Let me add them. All right. Then we're going to take a look at EEIQ. EEIQ. Hold on one second. EEIQ. Let's see how EEIQ is doing. Curling slightly off the pennant again. Still curling slightly above the pennant right there. That's what we got going on right there. That is what we got going on. Let's see what we got going on over here. Curling above the pennant slightly right there. That's what we got. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right.
BATL.
BATL. All right. Hold on one second. EEIQ curling off the pennant slightly right there. Curling slightly off the pennant right there. Boom, right there. All right. And Alex says AIFF test a breakout. Let's see how AIFF is doing right there. AIFF curling off the pennant right there. Curling off the pennant. Breaking the VWAP. Broke the VWAP and is curling off the pennant. AIFF. AIFF curling off the pennant and broke the VWAP right there. AIFF. That's what they got going on right there. That is what they got going on right there. All right. There we go.
Did you get BATL?
I mean, we did that one earlier, but we'll do it again. Yep. Yeah.
TMD.
Oh, we could do it again. I mean, TMDE, hold on one second. All right. TMDE, let's try TMDE. TMDE, let's see how it's doing right there. TMDE currently, as of now, needs to break the pennant right here. Fell below the VWAP as of now. Very choppy as well. TMDE, very, very choppy. Choppy, choppy, choppy right there. Chop going on here. Chop going on there. Needs to break above that pennant for it to be so much maxi to mya. That's what we got going on right there. TMDE, TMDE needs to break the pennant and the VWAPA at 136. For it to be somewhat schmexy to mya, TMDE. All right. All right. So, let's see what else we got going on here. What else? Let's see here. TMDE. Bit choppy. Needs some volume. Needs volume, ladies and gentlemen. Needs volume. All right. All right, all right, all right. All right, one second. All right, let's see about... What's this? Ooh, let's see. What about Mara? M-A-R-A. M-A-R-A. All right, let's see. What's this? I don't ask for that. All right, so as of now, MARA currently on the uptrend over here, needs to break the pennant right here. Needs to break this pennant and needs to break the VWAP for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. Currently up 4% as of now. Let's take a look at the float. Float is very heavy. Somebody requested the float, which is 286 million. Volume is 15 million. So as of now, Mara is very heavy in terms of float, very low on volume, not looking too schmexy to mya, not looking too schmexy to mya, and it's the bell! The bell! It deafens me. So Mara needs to break the pennant and the VWAPA at 882. Moving on low volume. Not looking too schmexy right there. Not looking too schmexy to mya right there. All right. There we go. There we go. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get a share party going. Mara is curling above the pennant right there. Broke the VWAP as well. Broke the VWAP. Still moving on low volume, but broke the VWAP and the pennant right there. Mara, MARA, broke the pennant and the VWAP. Still moving on low volume right there. Bot right there. There we go. Let's get a share party going on over here. Let's get some support and resistance lines right here. All right, has to break above the 905 resistance line right here. Has to break above 885, which is a resistance as well. Has to break above 885, then break over 905 right there. Has to break over 905, then break 936 for it to be schmexy to mya. That's what we got going on right there. That is what we got going on right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So, as of now, that's what we got going on right there. Mara has to break resistance at 905. Mara needs volume to break the resistance line at 905 right there. For it to be somewhat schmexy to mya, that's what we got going on. That is what we got going on right there. AIFF moving. Let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at it right there. AIFF. All right, curling up and moving right there. AIFF now up $2.24, $2.24, up 33%, 33%. Let's get the support and resistance lines right over here. Has to break above 221 fully, which it looks like it's doing. Needs to now break the high a day at 240. AIFF curled off the pennant and broke VWAP. Pretty sure it needs some volume there. Oh, wait, no. It's good. It's good on that. 13 million float, 23 million volume. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Needs to break above the high a day at 240. Needs to break the high a day to break the high of day at 240 right there for it to really be schmexy to mya.
AIFF moving.
And it's moving right now. AIFF now testing the high a day at 240. It's starting to test it right there. It's still moving towards it. Still climbing towards it right now. But it's starting to test it. You know what I mean? It's testing. It's starting to testing. You know what I mean? It's starting to do the testing. All right. That's what we got going on. Yes, sir. All right. That's what we got going on right there for that one. That is what we got going on for that one. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Let's get a share party going on. Let's get to 1600. 1600 right there. Come on now. All right. There we go. There we go. All right. Let's see here. Let's see what else we got going on. What else we got going on right here? Let's see. All right. All right, all right, all right. Let's try LNKS. LNKS. Hold on. Alex Martinez says, nice 20% come up on AIFF off the bottom of the consolidation zone. That was perfect setup. Can we keep pushing? Can we keep pushing? Oh, my. Yes, sir, we can. Broke the high a day. AIFF now $2.45. AIFF broke the high a day right there. AIFF broke the high a day. Broke the high a day. Broke that high a day. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. AIFF broke the high a day. All right. There we go. There we go. AIFF. AIFF broke the high of day up to 47 now, up 44%. New high at 247 right there. New high of day at 247. There we go. Yes, sir. Still on that uptrend, ladies and gentlemen. Still on that uptrend right there. Yes, sir. All right. Let's see. All right. Let's see here. What else we got? What else we got? How is LNAI? Let's see how LNAI is doing. LNAI. LNAI pulled back. Meh. Unfortunate, but it does happen. LNAI pulled back. All right, so LNAI pullback needs to break the downtrend now. LNAI pullback needs to break the downtrend. LNAI pullback needs to break the downtrend right there. Needs to break that downtrend for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. But meh, not now. Not looking schmexy to mya right now. Meh. All right, let's see what else we got. What else we got? All right, let's get a share party going. Let's get to 1700. 1700. All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's see here. ANN. Anna. Let's see how Anna's doing. Ooh. Okay. ANNA moving up quite a bit over here. ANNA. Right. Broke the $8.44 line over here. Needs to break the new high a day at $8.94. ANNA. Right there. ANNA on the uptrend slightly. Let's get the graffiti pencil out here. Ooh, okay. 1 second. All right. Put this over here. ANNA. All right. Formed a nice little ABCD pattern there. And broke through resistance. Needs to break the new high of day at $8.94 for it to be so much Mexi to Mya. Let's take a look at AIFF. AIFF curling, still moving towards that new. It broke the high a day at one point, and now it has a new high a day at 252. So AIFF moving towards the new high of day at 252 right there. That's what we got going on right there. That is what we got going on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. All right. Let's keep going on. Let's keep going. All right. All right. There we are. Let's get a share party going on. Let's get to 1800. 1800, ladies and gentlemen. Come on now. 1800. All right. Let's see here. All right. %36 AIFF. Let's see here. What other stunks we got going on? All right. LNAI seems to be halted. Huh? Love? I would do anything for love. But I won't do that. Yes, like we love y'all. A little bit. Yeah, moving on some very light volume here. LOVE. LOVE needs more love, not gonna lie. Love needs some loving. Has a conference call that recently concluded. Q4 earnings were released today before the market opened. It is on an uptrend on some very light volume. Right here. LOVE moving up on very light volume. Let's take a look at the float over here. Float is 13.2 million and change. Volume is 370,000. So love is moving on little love right there. Love could use a little more love right there. I guess that's what we could say right there. Love, LOVE, can use a little more love right there. Moving on light volume with choppy price action on an uptrend right there. That's what we got going on. That is what we got going on right there. EAF. Let's take a look at EAF. Graph Tech International Limited. Let's take a look over here at what's going on with it. Up 27%. 27%. Had a bit of a gappy price spike up here. Let's take a look at the float. The float is 22 million and change. Volume is 162,000. So the float is a little bit heavy. Yep, just jackknifed. Man, wait. Up. Yep, very choppy. Needs more volume. EAF needs more volume. Heavy float. EAF, heavy float, low volume. Price spike. It did have a price spike. Now it's pulling back a little bit. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it for me. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as Ring that bell icon to stay notified when new videos are uploaded. And remember to share. Because sharing is caring, ladies and gentlemen. Sharing is caring. And of course, if you want access to our private Discord, the link to join is in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section. So be sure to check that out. We pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We are just made different. Just made different. And the early bird gets the cash, the moolah, the loot, the cashola, the big bucks, I tell you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Ah. Valeone. Valeone.
Everything is good now.
We're speaking Italian. It's a beautiful. Oh. It's nice. Have a cup of coffee. Nice. How you doing? EEIQ, by the way, had a nice curl. A little bit of a curl right there. I will say that EEIQ did break above that pennant and shut up. Oh my, hold on. Yeesh, 1 second. Wham. Hold on 1 sec. 1 sec right there. EEIQ curled back up right there. Wow. EEIQ. Wow. I take my eyes off you for a few seconds and you just shoot up like that. EIQ shot up and broke. Oh, what do you mean ever so slightly? I broke the VWAP and then I proceeded to go bing. Migration. The VWAP now up 171%. Shot up to 171% right there. Oh my. I mean, has a bit of resistance going on right there at the 792 mark, but other than that, looking pretty good. All right, there we go. Yesh. All right, there we go.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go.
Baby.
Ooh. EIQ did hit a high of 189 just now. Hit a high of 189. Almost hit the high of day right there. EIQ hit the high. EIQ hit 189%. Can it break the high of day? Let's see what we got going on. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, but that's pretty much it for me. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Ring that bell icon to stay notified when new videos are uploaded. Remember to share, because sharing is caring, ladies and gentlemen. Sharing is caring. And of course, if you want access to our private Discord, link to join us in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section. So be sure to check that out, because we pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We are just made different. And the early bird gets the cash, the moolah, the loot, the cashola, the big bucks, I tell you. Yes, sir. All right. Quick thing before we wrap up. If you've been watching and you're serious about the small caps, ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to sit on the outside trying to piece it together. We got a 4-day full access pass for only $9.99. $9.99, and it's full access, ladies and gentlemen. So you come inside, you get to see how we operate live and in living color. All right. And you see how we structure our trade ideas, how we map our levels, how we think about risk, how we handle momentum. You get next day early watch list. That's what you get, as well as a 24/7 market news flow, which you got right over here. You take a look at it right over here, with all these amazing hyperlinks, as well as a synopsis of the story underneath, the synopsis of the article, as well as the hyperlink to read the full article, as well as a hyperlink for the ticker that is affiliated with the news within said article. So you got that going on right there. You get access to our pre-market, regular hours, and after hours scanners right there, which include the stock, price, volume, float, whether or not the ticker is up or down, as well as the change in percentage right there. All right, and of course, you get the hyperlinks to learn more about the stocks that we are looking at right there in these scanners, as well as float, volume, catalyst, context built right in. And to top it off, you get access to our ticker tape, which also has hyperlinks built to catch stocks when they're starting to heat up before they go parabolic. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we don't do noise here, we do structure. So, If that's how you want to approach this market, grab the 4-day pass. Come see it live, ladies and gentlemen. Link is in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section. And when you come in, let us know that you saw us on the stream, ladies and gentlemen. Let us know you saw us on the stream. All right? You already know what time it is. Yes, sir. All right, so that's what we got going on. That is what we got going on right there, ladies and gentlemen. So, much love. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful day. Be sure to check us out on our YouTube channel at Coaching Money. At Coaching Money, where we do lots of live streams, stock reviews, stock analysis, as well as all sorts of other amazing things like that. We do lots of long form and short form videos as well. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Ring that bell icon there to stay notified when new videos are uploaded. Remember to share. Remember to share, ladies and gentlemen, because that's what we got going on right there. That is what we got going on. Also, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to check out our wonderful, wonderful X.com, a.k.a. Twitter, at Coaching Money. At Coaching Money, and EEIQ is now 202%, new high a day. So you got that going on as well. So yeah, be sure to check us out on our X.com, aka Twitter, at Coaching Money. At Coaching Money, where we do lots of live streams, stock reviews, stock analysis there as well. Be sure to give us a follow there. Be sure to set your notifications on there as well. All right, so we got that going on right there. That's what we got going on right there. And ladies and gentlemen, be sure to check out our Twitch at Coaching Money, where we do lots of live streaming as well right over there. We do lots and lots of live streaming as well right there. All right. And of course, be sure to check out our amazing, wonderful Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Coaching Money. At Coaching Money. Be sure to give us a like and a follow on there as well. All right. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to check out our TikTok, Tiki-Taki, a.k.a. the Tac. The Tac. You can find us there at DBL Nicks. At DBL NICKS, and the screen name is Coach Nick Money. Right there. Money. Yes, sir. Money. All right. We already called. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, we already called EEIQ. That ran up a nice 202% right now. New high. So I'm just saying. Called it. Check us out, man. Check us out. Check out that private Discord. Link to join us in the description down below. Pin comment section. Be sure to check it out. All right. Much love. I'll see you guys for Power Plays, which is the lovely show that's going to be popping up at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, hosted by the legend himself, Coach Nick Money, as he traverses the stock market and looks into all the stonks that are going on prior to Power Hour, see what's moving, gives his honest analysis on it right there. And then what he's going to do is he's going to let them stonks simmer on high heat, let them simmer, right? Let him simmer while you get some dubs for the community, some Victor Romeos, as Bobo Beebs likes to call it right there. Yes, sir. So that's what we got going on. Be sure to check that out as well on our YouTube, X.com, and Twitch at Coaching Money. At Coaching Money, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what we got going on. So it's Double Nicks. I love you guys. I'll see you guys later on today at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Power Plays. And of course, I'm here with the lovely Serengeti specialist herself. She likes to hang around the tall weeds, the high trees, the low seas, hitting them high knees. Sometimes she likes 2 cups of coffee. Other times she likes to jet ski. Other times she likes to regular ski. Other times she gets shot at the cannon and she goes, whee! Other times she likes to party and go to Arby's. And sometimes she likes to watch videos of puppies and kitties. Other times she likes to go into the stock market. She'll find them A, B, C, Ds. Of course, she loves to also steal my low mean. And to top it off, she did call some wonderful stocks like EEIQ, FCHL, and KOD. We call her DBM Moms. And that's what we got going on right there. That's what we got going on. So, much love. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful day. See you at 1:30.